chronic pain in the morning that I have been suffering with ever since I worked at the Amazon factory and got injured. So first things first, you gotta have water. I highly recommend a green juice blend. I'm actually still mixing mine up. This is called Rocket Fuel. It sounds really unhealthy, but it's completely organic, and it comes from a multi-level marketing company, and it's actually pretty decently priced, and it has a lot of adaptogens in it. It's even got some maca. I think it's from the Living Good company. I can't remember. So first thing we're gonna do though is we're gonna take off our shirts. If you're a man, if you're a woman, if you have a backyard, I highly recommend taking off your shirt if you legally can, in a place that allows you, or if you own a property. If I was in the homeless situation that I am in now as a woman, I would have crashed out already, not being able to have my shirt off, because the sun has everything to do with our body and healing the fascia connections in the electrical system that connects everything in the body. See, we've become so far removed from nature that we've forgotten how to really tap in with creating the proper hormones in the body that give us natural states of joy. And so I'm also going to get barefoot because this is really important. I can't tell by changing my voice I'm in a lot of pain, but that's all going to go. So these shoes are rubber. They do not have copper plugs, so I am not able to ground the energy from the sun in a full circuit like the plants or the trees. We are actually a lot like the plants and the trees because we come from the plants. We come from the ground. We are made of the dirt. If we eat flesh from animals, we are they eventually got it from something that grew in the ground. So it's the cycle. It's I like to call it the sun, earth, wind, anti-aging microcosmic orbit. That's what I like to call it. I gotta keep my britches on. But ladies and gentlemen, if you have a backyard, I highly recommend taking everything off. But make sure that before you go outside, especially if you're taking everything off and you don't know what different parts of your body and the levels that they're adapted, that you drink some of this before and you make sure you're pretty hydrated before, because different parts of our body that haven't been used to the sun can burn a lot faster, or can burn if we're hydrated, even if we are grounded, so that the negative ions from the sun pass through. And so being topless is very important for the fascia, because the only way that the fascia can actually hydrate on a correct geometrical molecular level is if you have direct contact from the sun on your skin. Everybody has different abilities based upon the hue of their skin, hence the English word that they created, hue man, although that does seem to be quite a sexist term, because not only can humans be the only ones out in a park that can have their shirt offs in this society, which is quite toxic, but if they called it hue woman's or even hue man, see, it doesn't include the woman, so women aren't included in this based upon the language spells and the fear spells and the affirmations that men cannot overcome lust that has been affirmed over and over into our society. So, hello, hope you're having a beautiful day today. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start drinking this, and we're gonna get started with my morning ritual. Alright, y'all. If you have chronic pain in the morning, get out here, get barefoot, have that sun touch your body. Make sure you're drinking some green juice that has vitamins. That sun is directly hitting the different meridians of my body, and those meridians go into those chi channels, those different meridians if you study the Chinese medicine chart. And that's going to allow those parts of my fascia to really utilize that electricity and hydrate on a much deeper and faster level. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is I learned this from Dr. Atman Ra. We're just going to stand still. He does 15 minutes. I'm probably just going to do 3 to 5 minutes. And we're going to stand and we're going to do a deep meditation, and we're going to focus on how the sun feels against our body and how the ground feels against us. And I recommend doing this with your shoes on and off, so you can really feel the difference in how that subtle energy is changing, because the longer you stay in rubber shoes while experiencing the sun, you'll start to notice some of those negative side effects. But when you're barefoot, you'll notice that those negative ions, because the sun is necessary to touch the skin in order for the electricity and the fascia to get activated and to deeply hydrate the mitochondria. And you'll see as I warm up, my eyes will become more used to the sun, and I'll be able to look directly into the sun. As of now, I cannot look directly into the sun. I've been looking directly into the sun my whole life, every single day, and my eyes have not gotten any worse. And you can do some deep research, but we actually, well, the breatharians, I think that's going a little far, but it is possible to go a week without food. I went a week without food, hiking 5 to 15 miles a day, just finding water at a survival school. And so our bodies are capable, and I only lost 1.5 pounds. So our bodies are very capable. Okay, so I'm just gonna stand and drink some water first. Inner stand. I'm gonna inner stand while standing, while grounded. I'm gonna inner stand while standing, grounded, connected with the sun, the wind, and the earth. I'm gonna inner stand my divine connection to the universe. And hopefully you will too. Oh, and while you're standing, I want you to take note on all the places that your body is holding tension, because that's going to play a huge part in the next part of the exercise. Sometimes I like to face my palms towards the sun. That helps me feel as if I feel that I'm gaining energy from that, from it hitting those meridians. I can feel that more than the back of the palm. just want you to really try to relax every single muscle in your body and really just release the tension. You've got some negative emotions that are coming up. If you've got some negative emotions that are coming up, I want you to focus on how that's affecting your body and what it's doing. It can be different for different people. So after doing this exercise for a while and overcoming the mental barrier that no one could be around to see you, you'll start to realize that there's a psychological block in humanity that psychologists have put a phobia on called gymnophobia. And that is the radical fear of seeing other people naked and other people seeing you naked. Being naked isn't inherently sexual. We are sexual, obviously, at times when we are naked, but that is not always the case. And until we are able to overcome this gymnophobia obstacle that has been placed upon the psyche of the culture, then we will not truly be able to reap the positive consequences of connecting to the sun, wind, earth, microcosmic orbit of anti-aging vitality and myofascia efficiency and hydration. Now, women have a much greater chance of reducing breast cancer through breast massage, which I'll be doing full body massage here coming through based upon the stagnancies that I'm feeling in my body. That starts from improper lymph flow and improper hydration of the fascia, which you can only, again, truly hydrate your mitochondria if you have direct sunlight on certain meridian points of the body. And this is all scientifically adequate. They've been studying nudists, and now they're starting to realize, based upon the habits of different nudists, who's burning, who's not, based upon hydration, grounding, diet can also play a factor as well, and how your body responds in the sun and for how long it can be in the sun. If I have my shoes on and I'm dehydrated, I will start to burn in about 15 minutes. If I take my shoes off, it'll take about an hour. If I drink and stay hydrated, I can be out all day without getting burned at all. And I have very, very fair skin. So science often just proves what meditation has already known. And meditation is the most powerful form of medication. Actually, they've proven that active meditation, exercise, is one of the most powerful forms of meditation. But having the sun on your meridians and the wind and grounded, once you start to do your research and then you do your inner research, your outer research is finding what the scientists have collected through data or through trials of people meditating and giving their points, or actually going in and studying the mitochondria and the body after activity. So I'll get more into the toxic reasons how negative emotions actually constrict the chi and the life force. And right now I can feel that sun right here. They call this the third eye, the pineal and I can see that light, and that's enough for me right now. Like, this is sun gazing because my eyes are still absorbing the sunshine through, maybe it's just through my eyelids. Maybe I've watched too many things on the internet. But it is stimulating those channels of hydration, and it's activating the neurons in the pathways of the cranium through the myofascia. So that is true. So you can sun gaze and get similar effects of pineal activation through just having your eyes closed as you slowly adapt during the day. Right now my body's pretty chronically dehydrated, so I because the fascia is so wounded, it has a hard time staying hydrated. But as my fascia has slowly healed, I've been able to easily stay more and more hydrated with less and less liquid. Okay. Oh, another thing that I would mention is certified health nut Troy Casey. He was dealing with black mold, and it was causing him all sorts of neurological issues. Like, he couldn't think of anything but the present moment. He was very irritable, and that comes from black mold toxin. I've been telling people that I've been experiencing this for 2 years now, and I've been able to mitigate the effects by doing this in the morning and cleansing out my lymphatic system, because my lymphatic system is being overworked, and that can cause my body to be more tired as well. So once I get all that mucus out, that mucus is formulating around that mucus so that it can be deposited out of the body. We'll be doing some Bastrika that I learned from certified health nut Troy Casey. I also learned my ecstasy breathing from Troy Casey and Wim Hof. And if you see, they all have their shirts off, and they all support sunning the taint and the butt hole. What would you call this? The anus, to be more scientific. So you have to be careful, but that tissue, the darker the tissue, they say, I don't know if this is true or false, but the more melanin receptors, this could be the opposite of what's true, because I heard something different from a different guy, and I hadn't looked into it inwardly, so I haven't been able to meditate that deep to confirm this aspect. But I will tell you this, I have freckles all over my back, and that came in just 2 sunburns from when I was younger. I got super sunburned. It was like a 1st degree, 2nd degree burn. When I went into the shower, all the moisture was sucked under the skin, and after those 2 burns, my body was in a panic state, and it started to create melanin, and I got these freckles all over my back. I was extremely dehydrated. And so my body was in a shock mode to create melanin to protect it from the sun. So I remember when I was naked at the retreats, I'm getting a tightness in my stomach. My mind and body, just like when I was a child, is telling me to take my pants off, but I can't, because I live in a culture that exercises violence instead of understanding for the human body. Places in France, this is very accepted. Places in Germany, places all over South America. Although in Mexico there's only one nudist beach for some reason. Croatia has the most nudist beaches per capita, I do believe, of any country. And it is scientifically proven that through Pavlov and the salivation of the dog, that we are conditioned to think that being naked. So we're literally experiments through Pavlov, through our fear mongering, through the collective culture. It's true, you must study the psyche, because it's proven when other people can be outside and respect one another and train their minds not to be sexually aroused, or if they are, to walk away and give boundaries if they're new to it. It's also one of the harder things about being a man in other countries. There's a book called The Socially Responsible Male Nudist. Women can be aroused anytime in the nude, unless your scent is very, very adept. You'll have a hard time noticing. So men, you'll notice that once you get aroused, your chi starts to surge. And so it was actually an ancient practice of many people to stand in the sun and allow oneself to get a non-sexual erection. I remember as a child that this was something that happened all the time. I didn't know what sex was. It was stimulation. The wind blows. And I felt that extra energy. I have those memories of having extra energy coursing through my body. And a very ancient practice is standing under a waterfall, because that's similar to the wind, but you'll get a waterfall massage as well. All right, I'm gonna start doing some movements, because my body's feeling a little bit of tension from standing too long, talking too long. The lack of warmth on these meridians, I could feel the chi block was all there. And when I was at my nudist meditation retreats, where we sat in silence all day in the nude, in nature, and then we came back nude together in a circle and we discussed what we felt, and then we were discussing the emotions that came up, the memories from childhood. We began to understand that as children we were innocent, and through Pavlov theory, through the salivation and the ringing bell of the dog, we were conditioned to be disconnected from the earth. I also remember as a child constantly them putting shoes on my feet, and I'm a huge proponent of barefoot shoes, because as a child this felt extremely uncomfortable. And if you grow up without shoes on, you get these strong, look at Juji Mufu, go look at Juji Mufu, he never wears shoes. The dude's an absolute beast. I don't want to call him a beast, but he's a mass of a man, and his feet, look at his feet. The bottom of the feet hold meridians throughout the whole entire body, so putting a shoe on a child actually stunts the child's growth. In China, they did foot binding on the women that actually made them not grow as tall. Scientifically proven. Okay, all right, we're gonna start. I'm gonna drink some water. We did the meditation, we were focused in on what parts of the body were like really tight, what parts of the fascia felt dehydrated. And so now we're gonna go intuitively with our movements And you're gonna figure out which movements start to pump the fascia and warm up the fascia. And since you're drinking a lot of water and you have the sun directly on the skin, that sun connected with the water, because when the shirt's on, remember, the sun is an absolute necessity of absorbing moisture and structuring water so it can actually be fully absorbed into the mitochondria. So let's do it. Oh, I just want to shout out, every time I'm at a park and I'm doing this, I always have people in the backgrounds whistling at me, talking shit behind my back, saying, that guy's weird. And it comes from a deep insecurity. Some people attack people that stand out because they want to feel better about themselves. And when we do this, we actually block all of our blessings. If we come to people with love and the idea of growing with them in prosperity, it has such a better effect on our growth mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. So that's something I've always had to deal with when I'm dancing in the park, singing in the park, taking my shirt off in the park, being barefoot. You've seen a couple videos where I went barefoot into a store and how they threatened to call the police on me because of it when I called in to buy 2 cords. And I got the inspiration from Barefoot Sue and all of the barefoot brands that are now on the market, because I was sick of those shoes not having that electromagnetic effect because they were still rubber soled. And I was like, okay, I need to demand love for my temple. And if this goes against the unhealthy, inverted knowledge of humanity that it's forgotten for not tapping into its ancestral lineage, which exists within the memory of the DNA. And it doesn't take long to remember. Once you go out and you're in the sun and you're naked, you'll start having these memories of tribe. At least I did. Some people call these past life memories, but somehow our DNA has recorded past life memories that we can tap into. Some people call it the Akashic Records, but that was my experience. Okay, let's go. So I'm feeling a lot of tension up around this pec and my ribs. I was slammed on my ribs 3 weeks ago. Some mornings I wake up, I can barely sit up out of bed. I gotta drink like a bunch of water. I wasn't as dehydrated this morning. So hydration and the fascia can speed up recovery 10x if you're consistent and you're tapped in. It takes effort, and a lot of people that do this become minimalist because they realize they're so much happier with less. They just love being in the sun, grounding. They can really feel their body over time, literally anti-aging, and they realize that this becomes more important than working a lot, being chained to a profession that doesn't give you the sovereign freedom of having your shirt off and being barefoot, and you're inside, you're sitting, you're driving around. And so a lot of people come to see that it is very easy to live to 150 years. if they just become present and they learn to tap into that natural ecstasy that starts to happen when the hormones become balanced. And this gives me the biggest boost of feel-good chemicals. It's amazing. Same with everybody else that I've talked to, had the same experience. Okay, I'm just gonna, this is called shaking. I got this one from Elliot Hulse. So we're just gonna start shaking, pulsating. Elliot Hulse from Strength Camp. Now, he has had a lot of hate put towards him. He's gone through, like, he's evolved so many times throughout his life. People couldn't keep up with who he was. It's like he looked the same or he looked a little bit different, but his philosophy and his mindset and who he was completely different. And that's what's beautiful about being a human, is that when we dive into different fractals of God or Goddess, we can completely evolve weeks and months of time, anytime you want. Okay, starting to feel a little bit better. Okay, now we're just gonna shake. And a lot of people will use a rebounder. It's a small trampoline that kind of gets the lymphatic system kind of, it helps to get everything moving. The Harlem Shake is actually very, very powerful for the heart and lung meridians. And I do feel a little bit of pain in my ribs when I'm doing it. But when I do my breathing exercises, I create that ecstasy effect. So it feels like, when I was 18, I was peer pressured one time to take half of an ecstasy pill. It feels just like that when I'm out in the sun, but I felt a little bit intoxicated when I took that ecstasy pill. When I do it like this, I don't feel that intoxication, I just feel clarity. Oh yeah, my body is slowly hydrating. I'm feeling a little bit better. The movements that used to hurt just a little bit ago are starting to go away. So I'm slowly loosening up my fascia. It's slowly hydrating. If I were to do this in my van with no sunlight, it would take about 3 times as long. I'm really, really thirsty. Normally I drink like a full gallon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go fill this up and we'll just kind of talk. I only had it so full because of the green juice that I had in there. I'm a big proponent of Japanese style. Oh my God, look at the gorgeousness of this tree. We can learn a lot from nature if we start to honor it, start to understand our connection with it. The trees have so much to teach us. See how rooted they are? If we wear shoes, we'll never be able to root ourselves and grow strong. Matter of fact, we will castrate our feet and we will castrate our ability to be rooted and strong and grow tall. It's all geometry. Everything in the body is connected in a perfect geometrical chain. Ooh, feeling a lot of pain in my knee. in my feet. I'm feeling some pain, so I just need to slow down, focus on my breathing. Okay. That only happened when I was on the concrete, but I did do some exuberant skipping the other day while I was going to pick up this phone holder thingy that I'm actually able to start filming videos outside again. So all right, so we're just gonna throw my hip into that, and we're gonna start filling up right there. Shout out to Haas. Shout out to the Haas company. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a little bit of pain in my hips when I'm pushing force, so we'll be definitely doing some deep Tai Chi. So I realized this whole time that I was actually doing Qigong. Because Qigong is you're tightening the muscles, kind of like imagine you had 10 Shaolin rings on each wrist. You kind of have to tense up your body when you're doing the breathing and the movement. So that's Qigong. Tai Chi is completely relaxing the body and feeling like a feather. And when I do Qigong, I feel like a brick. I feel like my body's becoming an iron brick through fluid movement. And when I do the Tai Chi, I feel like I'm literally floating on a nimbus cloud. All the tension in my body completely erodes, and I instantly, yesterday I did Tai Chi, and I was able to reach the highest level of ecstasy because I also do the pranic breathing during that Tai Chi, but all that pranic breathing was learned by Wim Hof, which is very aggressive. And also by certified health nut Troy Casey. I got a video banned for showing a video of him doing the ball slapping. But when you stimulate the chi around the nutsack, it actually increases the testosterone, and they've done studies on it. And men that were infertile, you don't actually slap your balls unless like you're really strong. Most people, if they did that, it would be tender, it would hurt because most people's bodies are weak. But I realized that when I did this for a week, after about day 3, I really was kind of slapping the balls, and by the 6th day, my testosterone I just felt warmth and fire in my legs every time that I woke up. And I stopped doing it because there was shame. I did it in the park with my shirt off, and I overcame public scrutiny in my mind, and the fear is false evidence appearing real when it comes to things that have been sexualized that actually bring wisdom and health to the body. Again, it goes back to Pavlov. It's what's the intention. In some countries, it's absolutely socially acceptable to have sex at a park if you're being discreet, because that society views nature. Now, obviously, they have rules, like it's an adult area. They don't want children to be around. But it has become socially accepted because they understand the beauty of not only making love, but connecting to the sun while fully charging all the meridians in your body, both the man and the woman. I've had sex multiple times with women in parks that we've hiked far out, and we didn't see anybody for a long time. And mountain view sex, waterfall sex, and nothing, having full light on your body, the orgasm was full body, and I didn't even need to ejaculate. In fact, I gave up on semen retention, sexual microcosmic orbic orgasms. Once you start to study sexual kung fu, you'll start to realize that when you have the sun and the wind and the water on your body, and you're penetrating a woman and she's also naked, you'll notice that her aura completely changes, and you'll feel that. And it's a generator effect. It's super powerful. And unfortunately, Christianity wants us to believe that we're forever fallen. And I'm going to upload a video later today showing that this is all man-made, and that men have made the excuse not to overcome their lust, and they've completely severed themselves from God's creation through their writings and spells, because the Bible does cast spells. Spells are just what was magic in the past is now just understood and outerstood quantum science. So a lot of occult wisdom is just modern day science. Now, that's not to say that there aren't important things in the Bible that can greatly help keep humanity evolved and out of a state of chaos in mass civilization. Most people aren't willing to do the inner work to overcome what it takes to actually be in perfect connection with the creation, which we have a perfect microcosmic symbiosis with once we remember how 99.999% of all of our ancestors connected with the earth. We've been here for billions and billions of years. You're billions of years old. Sperm to egg. Also, it's scientifically proven that sleeping naked increases fertility, because having clothes subtly cuts off the circulation. In order to keep these pants up, I can feel quite the circulation cut off, so I'm having all sorts of chi issues. Most people have back issues because they're wearing pants and it's cutting off circulation to the lower back their whole entire life. So being non-barefoot and then having pants constantly pulling around the circulation points of the hips is why, and then sitting too much, and then not having that full geometrical structure of how the feet are supposed to be built up like tree trunks. That's what causes pretty much all of our ailments. And it's very important to take nothing that I say to truth, because it's only truth once you experience it. You need to experience what I'm saying. So I'm gonna be going back and forth. First, I'm gonna do some of that pranic breathing because I really gotta cleanse out my lymphatic system from the black mold that's been growing. My ears are popping from my vehicle, my home. I've been homeless for about 8 years. Now, I actually recommend people to be homeless. I recommend Earth to become homeless with luxury. I have lived anything but luxury the last 8 years that I've been homeless, but I actually envision a world where all roads are double wide lanes and RVs are double wide, and people start to travel more and want to consume less and then adventure and see different beautiful locations. Like, that would be my ideal tribe. If I got with people that were in high places in power that cared about that. The issues is a lot of the systems of today are built upon our sickness, and the people at the top don't even know what I'm speaking about, and they don't, or maybe they do, maybe they're naked outside on their estates all day long sunbathing. Actually, the people that are nudists that I found are all wealthy. They're people that don't have to work or they're retired. But it's only the young nudists are all wealthy. That's what I found. I don't know how wealthy they were, but they told me that they're fine. So they have time on their hands to reconnect with truth, and that's beautiful. Yeah. They're either wealthy or financially independent, so they were able to be locationally dependent at their house and make money from home. So there are some people that were able to do remote work as well. I've been to a lot of different people's houses where they were nudists, and we just hung out in the backyard, and it was great. And we were able to do these exercises at some of them. I was able to show some of these exercises, but in the beginning, I really didn't know much about it. I was just enjoying myself and learning about the consciousness and the concepts of the Pavlovian dog salivating, which finally I remembered through a video that I'm going to upload later today. So look out for it. My body's really starting to charge up. My stomach's really starting to activate its digestion. I just listened to my body. It just said chug. So I listened and I started chugging. My knees. Okay, we're gonna do a Shaolin warm up of the knees. So, gentlemen, I want you to realize and recognize that when people start to attack you, when you start walking around at the park with your shirt on and you start to get negative reactions from people, that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with an unhealed part in somebody else that is projecting their consciousness against you. And women too, when you go to a naturalist beach and you're afraid to take your top off, you have to realize that people have overcome this in these communities, and these people have built such a level of trust that they'll leave their keys, their wallet out, they'll leave their cars unlocked. And these nudists are actually high-level intellectuals. Okay, so this is what we call water activation. So you'll feel that, you'll remember as a kid you ran through a sprinkler and how good that felt and how it stimulated your nervous system and you just felt like you were flying, like you were in the moment. If you've ever ran through a sprinkler as a kid, I want you to now take some of your water and start placing it on different meridians of your body, and I want you to really meditate on what's happening to your body. You feel that cleansing, like if you go to like a church and they baptize you, you feel that cleansing. You'll feel a similar thing, because it's stimulating the nervous system, and water is elemental, and the sun and the water instantly creates a rainbow effect. It creates I haven't got it down to explain it, and I'm still looking for the research behind that, but I will be deeply researching what exactly is happening. And why it feels so good. Like it's the wind is blowing across it while it's wet. Instantly, like, pain just starts to leave the joint that I put that water on. And then I start getting from that breath, the same breath that I was doing before that takes a little bit longer to create that ecstasy. I'm able to instantly create, through it stimulating the nervous system and activating the painkiller receptors in the body. So now we're gonna do hand pumping. We're gonna pump the meridians of our hands. You'll see in a lot of art, they always have like an eye on their hands. That's because we have to see the connection. But I've seen a lot of art that's also put it on the bottom of the feet. We actually have to have hands that see and feet that see, chests and breasts that see, lingams, yonis, that see the sun and see the anti-aging power and feel and experience that. If we truly honor self, and we truly honor family, and we truly honor community, if we truly honor nations, states, if we truly honor humanity. Because when you don't have the freedom to do something that gives you so much sovereign anti-aging microcosmic orbit ability of being connected with the inner and the outer, the creation of life, you are stripping yourself away of dignity and self-respect. It's very important though that you listen to others, and if others are uncomfortable, you try to explain things on a deep level. And I find it best to just leave those people if they really are angry about it. Just try to pass on information to them, because at the end of the day, we don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. We want to help people grow, but we also don't want to dim our light. And so many times I have deeply triggered people, especially people in authority that I was trying to enlighten. It's actually happened recently a couple times. And by bringing this stuff up, in the beginning it was no issue, but the issue, anything that I talked about, they hated me after I brought up improper pace proof because they wouldn't prove me about my pay. Crazy. That's one thing I've also been researching is coercive control. And that's pretty common in sales organizations from leadership. Not everywhere though. I actually had a lot of really good ones that weren't coercively controlled, and I was able to express things that I've been in 3 organizations that in a week we saw a 2x sales launch, because respect and honor allows people to feel, it allows them to be able to speak their truth. So we have to stop becoming so insolent and insulated. We insulate ourselves from microcosmic anti-aging, as above so below, inner outer alchemical anti-aging creation. And we really need to move past this insolence, because it insulates us from truth and healing. I'm having a really hard time activating this meridian right here because there is no sun, and I can really start to feel when I'm doing that pranic breathing tension build up in this lower abdomen. When I am completely in the buff, that does not happen at all. The chi flows perfectly, and I don't get this part right here not being cut off by the circulation in the blood blocks a little bit of chi all over the body. And when I take that off, the same breathing, when I'm getting like pops and cracks in my body from my I found out that I have rheumatoid arthritis or some sort of arthritis, but that completely goes away instantaneously when I'm completely in the buff. That's to be noted as well. Ugh. Hand pumping. Okay, clapping. You can look up the power of clapping, but you want to be really gentle. Once you start to activate this, you'll be able to clap, boom, really, really hard. But right now, everything throughout my arm is tender. I've got extreme chronic pain all the way from the shoulder to the elbow. All the joints and bones in my hands are really in a lot of pain. And I built 300-pound racks every 7 minutes, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I was looked at as a pyramidal slave, if that makes sense. Because I was at the bottom of the pyramid. That makes sense. But I consented to it. So technically I was a slave to my own ignorance, and that's really important to understand. If we create value for other people, if we can create value for humanity as a whole, we can pull ourselves out of this pyramidal slavery, because it really just comes from ignorance. And the more wisdom we have and the less reactive we are to people that want to exalt coercive control over us, and the more understanding we are with those people, because those people are just trying to satisfy something within themselves. And you shouldn't you can be compassionate. You can't let them walk on. You have to stand up for yourself. And you'll find, I will say, when you stand up for yourself in these situations, you will receive backlash. You will receive retaliation. You'll even receive gang stalking. I've been gang stalked. Last week, they targeted my vehicle, messed with the mirrors. I believe I've had 3 gang stalking incidents. I can't prove them because I've been dealing with memory issues, but I believe at the place that I received my mail that the same guy was there twice, but it could have been just me because I have to really dig in and try to recalibrate the memory. But I don't really take too much notice of people unless they really make an impression on me. And I meet and talk to so many different people. Sometimes they blend together. But there was a really weird situation in the park that I had, being invited to a pizza party. And then the guy was wearing a shirt pizza that said free pizza. And then there was a military guy that came in that said that he was in the military and was saying that there was going to be a forced draft. I said, fuck that, I ain't about to be no blood sacrifice. If I was in the military, knowing how the pyramidal structure of military power works, you have to pay me at least 500 grand. And I said that out of the dignity of my heart and out of the knowledge that I learned from other people saying the same thing on the internet, and reading through the comments and being like, fuck yeah, don't be a blood sacrifice, don't be a bitch of the system. And so when we're insolent and we're insulated, we block ourselves from truth and wisdom, and oftentimes we can be manipulated and coercively controlled to do things that we can even lose our lives with. And that's the lowest form of knowledge, wisdom, and self-respect. So we have to really respect ourselves on the deepest levels. Another thing I would like to admit, I'm at the point now that even for $5 million, I would not go into the military, because you are killing women and children. And half of the nations, even if you're okay with that, which I'm not, half of the nation hates you right now. And not only that, but so many veterans are just left to be on the streets, casted away from society for putting their lives on the line, watching their friends die. You gotta make that decision for yourself, you know? Again, in life there are coincidences, but I felt something was weird because they were being overtly nice to me. He kept allowing me to pick up my packages without paying for them. And then I saw the pizza shirt and it triggered that memory, and I'm like, no, I need to get a receipt of this. Because I wanted to have that record, because I was told to keep record of possible gang stalkings. From watching, I watched about like 200 or so gang stalking videos to understand the psychology of why it works. And honestly, I think it's completely silly why I would even be gang stalked, but because if you're not coercively controlled, it's all retaliation, you know. People just don't like to be called out on their thievery, and They stood to lose a lot of money for being called out on the fact that they could be stealing 10 to 15% of everybody's commissions in those organizations. And then I find it so silly because when I go online and I do a Google search, this is on so many articles, and I was already warned by 10 other people. They're like, yeah, this business is really sketchy with a lot of the coordinators that pay you. They won't pay you altogether. They won't pay you your bonuses. And in people's offices, people would just be talking to me about that and asking me, hey, do you know a coordinator who's truly honest and proves to you by showing your petitions back with the crossouts, physical evidence? Anyway, this video is not about this, but yeah, we'll just say that the way that I got slammed on my ribs was that employer used the police to retaliate against me. I went back to get my paycheck and to ask for my paycheck when it was not sent when they said it would be. And they were just going to fuck me out of like $4,000. Well, I think it should have been like $500. But again, they wanted show proof, so I still didn't receive the second turn-in that I had, so I'm still just kind of sitting without that extra paycheck coming. And this also happened at another place. I didn't get it for 2 weeks, and I had to call a lawyer, and the only reason I got it because I actually called a lawyer. And it was crazy. Like, I literally, easily with low effort, could have doubled their output of their business for free, because I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy seeing high energy and high goal metrics. I would have done it for free with both of them with low minimum effort. I was a Kirby vacuum distributor, so I distributed Kirby vacuums. I trained, developed salespeople. I was able to take someone that had absolutely no sales skills in a week, get them to make $1,000 to $2,000 a month knocking on doors and selling Kirby vacuums, and getting them 15 sales a month to win their free vacation that the Kirby company offered. And I did that because I had a true love for seeing them happy and seeing them succeed. And if they succeeded, I succeeded. So it was a microcosmic orbit of success. Alright, let's really get into it. Alright, so now we're just gonna start doing the tapping. Whatever feels right, we're gonna do some self-massage. I want you to really go inward because of my love for you. I want you to go inward. I want you to get outside. I want you to get barefoot if possible, or if you're comfortable, I want you to take your shirt off, depending on what we talked about earlier, depending on your gender. And you know, if you're a woman, I challenge you to run for governor of your city so that you can do this, so that you don't have to be enslaved to higher chances of breast cancer. When you have your shirt off, the water absorbs much better in the myofascia. It stimulates the electricity, which allows that water to be structured properly. This is unstructured water. This has been sitting. Structured water, for 99.9% of humanity, it flowed through a stream. So it had an electrical charge, and it was charged and cleansed by the sun. In order to get something similar to that, Our ancestors were so much stronger than us. Yes, they may not have lived as long, but that's because there was lots of predators and there was little knowledge about eating parasitic meats, stuff like that. There's a reason that if we started to live like we used to, we could easily hit 1,000 years. 100%. We could live 1,000 years on this planet. 100%. I do believe that someone lived 1,000 years in the Bible with Tai Chi, Qigong, Pranayama, going inward. Now, you would have to live an extreme minimalist life. You'd have to constantly be doing body work on yourself, inner healing Reiki. Again, I just believe that Jesus Christ tapped into a heightened sense of Reiki healing, Reiki energy healing. He didn't have the knowledge of Tai Chi, Qigong. He had some understanding when he traveled through the Nag Hammadi scriptures is very important to read. But he traveled through ancient India, you know. Believe what story of Jesus you want to believe. That's up to you. That's not my choice. You know, you have to be open. And at the end of the day, I never saw him exist, so it could all be made up in a figment of my imagination, which builds my own reality through what I believe through my own projection. But things that we believe and have faith in, we don't actually have to see for them to take effect in our bodies. And that is the power of the Holy Spirit. Shout out to all those 2,000 different YouTubers that have given me this knowledge. If I had something coming in my brain, again, this is called the Akashic Records, a whimsical idea, I would type it into the internet, and I would constantly watch video after video just to make sure, because I always questioned myself. And I had to get at least 1,000 people to say all these things I've been saying through like shorts. No, I wouldn't say 1,000. That's with the Jesus Christ and the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I watched about 1,000, but I started to learn to trust myself and my intuition, and then learn to trust how I feel in my body when it comes to like the healing. So during this time, I was in the van, injured. So I didn't actually know if it was this or that, because I was trying so many different things. And it's amazing. It's amazing that when we stop being insolent and insulated, that what we can learn and how our reality of God in the universe greatly expands. And the truth is, if your woman cannot walk out with her shirt off, the breast quality of milk will be much, much, much lower. And those early times through breastfeeding make all the difference on geometrical structure and how the height of that child, the width of that child, the strength of the bones, the strength of all the organs, etc. So by cursing women, by not taking responsibility for our own lusts, we curse all of our offspring. And that's why I refuse to have children unless I can be with a woman who can walk naked in like a nudist community. Because I understand the full activation is 100 times more powerful when my root and sacral chakra are not being cut off by restrictive clothing. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna override that chi block that I'm not able. Oh, I got a little dizzy there because that can happen. So my channels up through my neck are a little tight, so that's causing a little bit of dizziness. So once these release, that won't happen. And I'm feeling really grounded. So my body, and you can hear my voice change. Like my body is literally changing its geometrical structure. It's releasing the vocal cords. I'm getting more prana. Like things are changing. Ugh. When you are that tight in multiple meridians in your body from building and doing manual labor over the years and not stretching, you start to become it's just maybe you understand what I'm saying, but I'm just gonna focus in on the body. I'm gonna quiet the mind. When I went like that, I felt a tear right there. I felt a tear when I opened up my hand, so I got to be really careful too. And that's why Tai Chi, you really want to blend the Tai Chi. I opened it up, and when I did the Qigong, I tensioned the body. That pulled on muscles all the way down the chain, and then I felt a tiny little micro tear happen right here in my palm. So this arm is not completely warmed up yet, so you also gotta like be careful, take it easy. Ladies have been preaching this for years, that twerking releases the hips, and that twerking isn't inherently sexual. It actually opens up the hips, and a woman that twerks, her hips meridians are going to be so much more able to carry children, and there's going to be so much more chi moving through, so the generation of the child that's being generated in her womb will be so much more healthier and strong. And the Harlem Shake, that shakes the lymph to keep the breast healthy. Men, you should be doing both, because a man twerking, although I can't quite figure out how to do it, there's somehow some type of shame connected to it, so it's like it's a mental block, but and that mental block is cutting off the energy in my solar plexus, and then once I let go of that shame, that solar plexus releases, and then I'm able to actually feel the chi move. The psychological controls the body's physical. I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of a twerk. It's not gonna look like I'm shaking my glutes. I'm shaking my gluteus maximuses. Those glutes are moving back and forth. That's gonna stimulate that blockage that's in my lower back that feels really tight. And I'm just gonna feel really, really good, and that pain in that lower back is gonna slowly kind of go away. You gotta release that shame. It's very hard to release that shame. It comes right, it starts right at the belly button. Right at the belly button, and shame destroys creation. You should be shameful of certain things, because certain things you do end up coming back to you in destruction. So being shameless is not good. I always send out the it's good and it's bad. It depends. It depends on what the universe's architecture has laid out for what shame is. And if we're shameful and we hurt a lot of people, that backfires. And then that can cause our lives to be more difficult, which will actually shut down and put stress up. Reconnecting, I don't know what happened. I got thrown off, but we were talking about how stress, and so being shameless is not good, but it's great. It depends on what a lot of people will make you feel shame for things you should not be shameful for. If people are making you feel shame for things you should not be shameful for, that it has to do with the golden rule, right? Because if you're not following the golden rule, that comes back to you full circle, right? And then your life becomes more difficult and you have a stress and you feel threatened, and it's right around your solar plexus and different parts of the body. I'm sorry, my alarm's going off. I have to, but so my bladder is starting to fill up a little bit. I drank all that water, but I just now have to pee. So sometimes if I'm a little bit more hydrated, I would have been able to get more of that water into the fascia, so I wouldn't have to pee. If I wasn't talking, I probably wouldn't have to pee at all, because I would have gotten all that water absorbed into the fascia. That's something also to note, because I've been talking so much, I haven't really been doing much. But I really want to explain this so you can understand it, so that you can understand it on a psychological level. The psychological is the physical once we understand it. So you have to do it. So Troy Casey was also experiencing the black mold. So he survived in it for years, not knowing it existed. So I've been in a tight space for 2 years. So it's a little bit harder on you when you're in a tight space. But my lymph nodes in the morning are hard like a rock. And then once I breathe and everything, then they loosen up, and then they release that mucus, which is capturing the mold molecules that I'm breathing in through my lymphatic system, through my nose, my nasal cavity, and through my mouth. I'm doing mouth breathing. So I went from doing, I'm gonna do Tai Chi breathing while shaking. That is with the muscles being fully relaxed. And I go back and forth between Tai Chi breathing and Qigong breathing. And I held a lot of hate temporarily, and a lot of pain and suffering, and a lot of despair. It all came from when my bosses fired me. But I've completely released that, and it still comes up a little bit from time to time, but I realize that they already karmically got what they deserved. They didn't have me in their office effortlessly for the love of what I like to do, double the output and recruit people. Like, I could have easily recruited 100 people and trained them for free, because I would have had more energy and excitement being out there training new people than I would have being on my own. And So I have to try to come through what they did as a place of compassion, because they're stealing from me because they're feeling a lack, and they need it so much to steal from me and to be dishonest that they're in that much pain. They need that money that much. I'm homeless living in my van. I told them I'm living in black mold, and they wanted to do that to me. They wanted to use the police to slam me on my ribs. And I went to a church the other day, and I was gifted a rosary. And I don't consider myself a Christian, but as I learn more about Christ, I consider myself more a follower of Christ, because forgiveness, now you shouldn't let people walk all over you. That's absolute bullshit. But forgiveness eliminates that negative low vibrational frequency, which tenses the nervous system, which ages you at an accelerated rate. Now, some people can channel rage and it can actually charge them, but that energy is expended pretty fast. And rage comes from a place of hopelessness. So hopelessness is way lower on electrical efficiency than joy, enlightenment, and love. Yeah, I'm feeling a major block in my my chakra there, because I gotta pee so bad. So we're gonna go take a pee break. When I was a child, I had no shame about peeing outside or peeing in front of people. So I'll just set y'all to the side, because there's like a lot of shame and discomfort. I've had people talk to me all the time in the stalls, and I have like conversations with people. And then I talk to someone else and they'd be extremely uncomfortable. So it's like everyone's got their own level of perception. So actually, I'm gonna keep this on. Actually, I'm gonna put this on because I'm not hydrating my fat fast enough. I have it down to a science when I'm not talking all the time. I'm still pretty dehydrated. Like, most of this water is just flowing through me. It was supposed to go into the fascia, and a lot of it did, because my mind's clear. I have way more range of motion. I can move my body a lot different. I have way more mental energy. If I don't do this, I literally would feel like I needed to sleep all day. I do feel like I need to sleep all day. But not really sleep all day, but do this and then sleep like for 3 hours, and then do this again and then sleep for hours, and so on and so forth. My body feels and knows that that's what it actually needs to do in order to heal 100%. And work and the stress of retaliation and the stress of gang stalking, that puts your body into a hypervigilant state, which tenses the body. So, it's all a learning experience. At the end of the day, those people, they get like a rise from it somehow. I don't know. But it's just all silly. Because again, if the respect was there from the beginning, both of those businesses would have had me training 100 people within a month or two for free. And I even asked them to shadow top petitioners. And they didn't like that for some reason. I don't know why. Why did I want to Shadow, I'm peeing now, so if you're uncomfortable. I'm not gonna stop this live because I'm in a state of flow. So again, when I was a child, I peed wherever I want outside. People would pee around me. We didn't give a shit. We were kids. We didn't think it was gay or whatever people think. It makes them uncomfortable of their natural body. But that's crazy. So barely peed. I felt, so my prostate, when my body is healed, my prostate relaxes and I'm able to hold so much more fluid. That's another thing. My fascia is chronically dehydrated in my prostate right now, so I barely peed at all. I drank 3/4 of a gallon, but I only peed about 1/4 of a cup, so all that water was going into my fascia, but I really wasn't working the lower meridians. So you really got to focus on your body, and having shame and guilt around peeing in front of other people, that connects with shame and guilt around your genitals. That disconnects you from being in tune with your genitals psychologically and understanding how to heal the prostate. Because most people don't even have an awareness of their body because they're so in their head, they're worried about bills, they have thousands and thousands of distractions. So, like I said, most nudists are highly intellectuals. They've overcome the Pavlov salivating dog theory of feeling shame or lust around nudity, around each other, and they reap the full benefits of our microcosmic orbit with the sun, the wind, the water, and the earth, which creates that electromagnetic grounding. I'm gonna go put some more green juice in my thing because I am fasting. I'm just drinking water, and technically, if my body was fully hydrated, I would have absorbed all those nutrients, but I see that I peed them out. So those nutrients did not all go into my muscles. A lot of them just went out through my pee, even though it was a small amount of pee. I can still feel my bladder working, so there's still a bit of pressure in there. But I don't have to pee. I don't have the urge to pee. It just feels like it's tight around that abdomen area. And so I'm really going to focus on releasing the lower abdomen area. Now, if I wasn't talking, I wouldn't have peed at all again. Like I said, all that little bit of water would have went straight to the muscles, and I would have already drank 2 of these with greens. And then I haven't got it down perfectly. I should only have to drink about 1 of these, because one day I was able to drink 1 of these and not have to pee. And you got to understand this and understand this. I live in a van that doesn't have air conditioning. I wake up kind of late because I have a hard time falling asleep. And yeah, so I'm kind of, imagine SpongeBob being taken out of the ocean, right? His fascia is lacking moisture and fluidity. And when our bodies are more fluid and we can move, we're healthier. Our fascia is much, much healthier. So I gotta watch this. I feel like I might be being gang stalked. I keep seeing that this that I keep getting videos saying that you're being gang stalked. They're probably hacking my phone. They're probably putting it into my head. They use the internet also from afar to fuck with you. But I got to be way more aware of what I'm doing, because this little thing is up on my vehicle. And when I went into the police station, they did have my keys. Now, I have no proof that they could be opening my vehicles, but there was a sheriff's office at that hospital where I was going to get proof of my ribs being hurt. And the people in there talking about, let's go to the truck. So I know there was the people in there were the gang stalkers. And that was at the hospital. That hospital is also very strange because there's a lot of security guards. And I was asking, why are there so many security guards here? And why is there a sheriff here? And why do you have an umbrella corporation? That's from the movie Resident Evil. They do experiments on people in Resident Evil and then they turn into zombies. Also, if you're like a narcissistic controller, your goal would be to hack the body through medicine, surgeries, to be able to weaken the body instead of actually heal it. And this is what I've heard thousands and thousands of times from thousands and thousands of people on the internet, expressing just how dirty of a business that hospitals are. And now I'm starting to see the connections. Now, I can't prove any of this, that it was the police, but a lot of the gang stalking videos show that a law enforcement does this. And then they try to get you out of your element. They try to put you in a reactive state so that you freak out. So then they have a reason, all the lies they made up about you. To make you look bad or get you locked up. They'll do like smear campaigns to try to make everybody against you, when really you're a loving person that was trying to share light and love of the knowledge and wisdom that you wanted to give to them, and you wanted to help them, but their ego was so wounded they didn't even know. Their perception of you was completely upside down, because they had no idea in their heart that that you actually respected them, you looked up to them, you saw them in a place of authority, and you respected that, and you thought that was really cool. And so you wanted to prove to them that you also were an equal, that by building their business, by being selfless, by hiring 100 people, right? So it all comes back to treat other people the way you want to be treated, because you never know when someone that's in your office, and they were being very aggressive to me. They didn't like me. They didn't like the way I acted. I was too whimsy. I was too happy. I would bring up things that made them uncomfortable. I expressed the story of when I was human trafficked by my mother. Some people in the office were very compassionate. A woman came up, I'm so sorry that happens, and I wish I had that equal right as well. Other people were laughing their ass off at some of the things that I was saying. And in the beginning, it didn't bother them. But what bothered them was when I kept challenging and really wanting to see proof of pay. And if they would have just been showing me proof of pay. So they do stand to lose a lot of money. Like if you take 10, I was having 50 to 60% validity. So that was my validity. I never had that low validity. I always had like 75, 85, 90% validity with the other guy that would always just hand me my papers back and show me the cross-outs. So he was able to easily prove to me. But that's what's ruined all the trust in the petition industry, is the stealing. If you treat people good, like people that do petitions have a lot of sales backgrounds. So like when you treat people and you love them and you actually care about them and you're not exalting yourself above them as an underling, but you're actually exalting them with you and to an advancement of a mastermind, then you actually respect them. Then you can absorb all that knowledge of all those salespeople that have walked through your office. So you end up creating the same amount of money that you would have stolen, and then you end up creating 10 times as much because everybody is extremely loyal to you. They feel the positive vibes, and that positive vibration and that loyalty doesn't go away. And so then you're able to expand your empire without, I mean, the petition industry, you just look on the internet, what do you see? Oh, they use coercive control, they use narcissistic abuse. That boss that fired me was already saying that I was gaslighting him. He was using all these terms. He already knew what these terms were to try to make me look like I was doing what he was doing because I asked for the pay. When I was in such a vulnerable position, still have been, living in a moldy van, which I told him, you know, I'm so excited to work here. I had so much joy. And the other guy's like, oh, I love you. I love this guy. I had people in his office saying that they loved me, and he saw me as a threat because I asked to see proof of pay. This works in 3 ways why he was threatened. I asked to see proof of pay, so that would instantly uncover all the stealing that he's doing from people. People like my energy. They like my light. I'm really kind. I'm happy. I was giving them energy, which was making them happy about working. Like, wow, if I could be around coworkers that are as happy like this is really something I'd like to do. Maybe we could go out and petition together. Maybe I can learn what his energy that attracts people through that high vibe. And so I was immediately seen as a threat to his business. Because he was coming from a place of treating me like I was a piece of shit. He said, shut up, sit down. He threatened to beat me up because I wouldn't listen. This really fucked me up in the head when he said, I will pay you to leave. No payment. I kept texting him, no payment. Called the lawyer. Finally, I got sent the money like 2-3 weeks later. I gotta look at the bank statement, but and I found out that he was being very confusing with the money. Asked him to send it direct deposit to my bank account because I wanted to have a paper trail in one place. He's like, oh, the bank froze my account. I can't do this. I maxed out on my Cash App. He promised me pay in a certain time, and then he couldn't pay me. He said he couldn't pay me through Zelle. He couldn't pay me through Cash App. He was giving all these excuses when I asked him, and I looked him in his eyes, and I asked him, are you sure you can pay me on time, sir? Because if you can, I am so happy for this opportunity, and this is like such a beautiful opportunity in my life, and I will bring so many signatures. And then I asked that, but because he was stealing, and that was his modus operandi to create an extra level of finances in his bag, he squandered me recruiting 100 people and training them over a month. Well, yeah, I could probably take 2 to 3 people out per day, and I could recruit people on the spot. So I forgive him. I said a comment that just pissed him off so much when I left. I'm like, because I was supposed to receive $1,000 that day if I was getting like my 50% validity. I'm like, dude, if you just send me a nude painting of yourself, I'll give you $1,000. So if you send me, because I wanted, I just thought it was funny. I wanted to, I was really thinking about naturalism that day, and I wanted to help him evolve because I respected the guy. He was an athlete, and I'm not gay, but when you study ancient cultures, it was different than the nudist way of thinking. The nudist way of thinking is body positivity. I do have an admiration for athletes, and when you study this, you can actually see their power under their clothes. You can see, you can't hide anything, and that's why the Greeks trained naked. I'm not saying that that culture is healthy, but in many ways they were thousands of times healthier because they actually had connection with their bodies. So he was really upset about that. I kept hearing people talk about gangsters and shit while I was in there, so I was like, you're not a G, when I left, and that pissed him off. In my opinion, a G sees that when you treat people good, they honor and respect you. When you're in a gang of people, do you want to be in a gang of people that disrespect you, that lie to you, that cheat, that steal? Do you want to be surrounded by other people that take the narcissist abuser's side? Or do you want the people in the gang that actually care about everybody and want, like my idea was going in there, shadowing the top petitioner, and then helping everybody in that office to get the motivation to work 12 hours a day, like I did in Kirby. And I could help bring up their petition count. So it hurts. My ribs hurt. Being stolen from hurts. I feel like all my dignity was stolen. I don't feel honored and respected really at any petition office ever, unless they show me that proof. But at the end of the day, Jesus told us to forgive people. I kind of think Jesus was a beta for getting murked, because if I was one of his apostles, I would have raised a fucking whole army. Because why would you kill the anti-aging guru? That dude's abilities were so powerful that just touching his robes, his energy body, his aura was so powerful that people would be healed. And I've been around people like this where I'm intense. Like when I'm around a loving, nurturing woman, I swear to God, my arthritis goes away when I actually fuse with her. And not even penetrative, just like hug. So I forgive him. I forgive the people that are gang stalking me. You know, at the end of the day, they're just trying to satisfy their lusts. The whole world deals with lust. Lust is not just sexual, but it's the need for more. We're trying to fill an empty void. It's all a feeling. Any material possession or place of power, it's all just a feeling. It's an electromagnetic emotion, E equals MC squared, that's coursing through the body. And when you hold that resentment, that creates illness in the body. Now again, you can't allow yourself to be walked over, but if you forgive your enemies, there's things about my enemies that I really respect. Even the guy that slammed me on my ribs, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I really respect that guy. I don't respect that he just slams me on my ribs and did it because that petition company gathered signatures for the police department, and you know, whatever. He just wanted to jump the gun on me, but he gave me a ride back. He gave me a ride back to my van. You know, he was listening to some really cool music. He was whimsy. In that moment of talking to him, I forgave him after he slammed me. I was already thinking about like, wow, I bet if I worked for the police department, I wouldn't have to deal with not getting paid correctly. And truly, if I was in the proper environment with petitions, I could make as much as a police officer in half of a year. But there was no camaraderie that I was feeling in any of these petition offices. And I respect the fact that those men really take care of their bodies. But now my ribs fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be fit to be in law enforcement. Otherwise, it's very foolish, you know? You know, it's a dangerous job. At least I think it is, the way they act. Unless they just like hurting people. But they're on edge, you know. They've probably dealt with a lot of people that are pieces of shit. We have to be forgiving. I shouldn't call people pieces of shit. People go through stuff. No one's perfect. But, well, so that's how I feel about it. My gang stalkers, I love them. I wouldn't have been able to. I was so stuck in the money getting that I totally forgot. You know what? I'm like, fuck it. If I'm about to die, these gang stalkers are about to kill me. I might as well give my message to the world about why my mother died and try to help the women with their breast cancer and help all human beings to realize that shame, guilt, and resentment are social conditioning like a salivating dog. And the power of the sun hydrates the myofascial connections, and it's all scientifically proven. And yeah, for the people that are humble enough to try it, they will reap what they sow, which is immortality. Not infinite immortality. I don't know how long a human being can live. We're all always learning things. And I'm talking about without surgeries, without, just with raw foods. So, this sugar's fucking with me right now. It's fucking with me. Holy shit. I gotta use this sugar. Alright, how much sugar did I just... What's going on in my body? Alright. Only 1 gram, so I only ate 3 grams of sugar, okay. The sodium, it's my blood pressure I feel go up. 120 milligrams of sodium. Okay. Times 3. So 120 milligrams of sodium times 3. 32 grams of carbs times 3. Ottman Raw says we don't actually need to eat carbs throughout the day. And when I followed Dr. Ottman Raw, he really helped me out as well. He only eats 1,500 calories once a week. He's absolutely shredded. And he doesn't take anabolics, but he looks like he does. And I know that's possible because I didn't eat anything for a full week, just water, and I only lost 1.5 pounds. And I've been able to build muscle on, I've been able to maintain and build muscle on 500 calories. I don't look like him, but if I ate 1,500 calories a day, I totally could. What else is in here? I get to moving around. Okay. Some pain in that knee. And we got 3 grams of protein, so we got 9 grams of protein. Oh, total sugars though is 9 grams, so technically that's my daily limit for synthetic sugars. Not synthetic, but white sugar. Iron 10% of the daily value, so I got 30%. POTAS is 2%. I have no idea what POTAS is. Thiamine 10%, so times 3. Riboflavin 10% times 3. Niacin. But all right, let's go. Let's get into it. So, but in the morning that rib hurts so bad. I cannot. I pull my sheets and I get up. For some reason, that motion of getting up, it's activating all my muscles, just pull against that rib. Oh, it's so bad. But when I hydrate and I breathe, that fascia releases. It's not pulling against it. I don't feel that extreme shooting pain that shoots up and down there. Okay. I gotta pee again. Okay. It's really locking in now. Got some carbohydrates, I got some sugars. My brain works off the sugar. Let's go. Alright. The other reason I don't blame that officer too much is because they were all talking shit about me and they were all trying to make it look like I was the bad guy. And when you have multiple people saying it, and then when he came up to me, I was already upset. So I'm not really mad at the guy. I think that he should be getting paid double for putting his life on the line every day. That's how I feel. If I was to be a police officer, I would expect $200,000 a year. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could work a 9 to 5. I can't do it right now. My body is fucked. But outward appearance doesn't mean physical capabilities. My body is like a 9-year-old's body in the morning from the accumulated myofascial adhesions, which have slowly been healing. But I don't think I could ever do that job. I don't think I could protect other people that needed my protection and back them up. I don't think I would have the capability to do that all day long, which every man should. But at least not now. I do believe I can completely heal my ligaments, tendons, and joints, but I just haven't had the proper environment. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, the proper environment to really heal from the work trauma and that more recent trauma. And it's hard being a police officer. It really is. I've thought about it deep and long. Like, some of them are, not right in their actions, and some of them act on impulse, and sometimes people have negative emotions towards them when they come, so they get in their mind, or maybe they just like the physical altercation, or maybe they're connected to the industry like my boss was. So at the end of the day, it's total forgiveness. I don't think that it's impossible that I wouldn't have acted in the same way. Any job is stressful. You can't always think clearly. So these are things that I've considered. I've been considering being in law enforcement for over 10 years. And if there's any fear about this video going viral, there's really not, because people don't have the energy in their busy lives to pursue other things. They're too busy in their life. So if people are scared that this video would go viral, that's not the truth, because at the end of the day, it preaches forgiveness and it preaches understanding. And if we can be more loving and more understanding and more understanding, we can all heal in the sun. And if we suppressed this video, we wouldn't be able to have the collective consciousness of what all the nudists intellectually know on a bioelectric rhythmic level of anti-aging. Now, I've been out in the sun for a while and I'm not hydrated, so let's get into it. All right, I'm starting to feel my skin toast up a little bit. If I would have been out here with no water, I would have been fried like a half an hour ago. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, really get those shoulders stretched out. Oh, it'll open up the chest. I'll start to feel some sunburn on the shoulders and the chest. Starting, so I gotta really pound this. All right, let's lock in. All right, we're gonna calm the mind. Highly recommend listening to some Hawaiian music while you're doing this. And it won't seem so strange. It'll just feel second nature. Or some island music. Because they always dance. They always got their dancers and all these island tribes. They still keep their traditions. And their traditions are anti-aging, microcosmic connection with the sun, the wind, and the earth. Shout out to all the people on earth that are spreading this message, that have helped me to be able to explain it through the English language. I really appreciate that. I really wish I could speak every language so I could get this knowledge and wisdom out to everybody on earth. I was severely undereducated here in America, so I do apologize. Hopefully people that are dual lingo can figure out how to get that translated. They can push that out to their family that maybe have a hard time understanding and understanding English. All right. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm putting my hand here. I'm doing a circular motion, so it's actually a massage technique, which is pulling against that muscle to kind of loosen it up. So I'm doing a circular motion. I'm putting pressure, so I'm really massaging that rotator cuff. You can get in there with fingers. You can just do your hand. You really need to get in there as your chi starts to build. As you can see from the beginning of the video, my chi's been building through the movement, the release of the muscle, the sunlight, the barefootedness, and the water, I'm starting to gain chi and strength. So you might find that you have a very, very deep hardness in your muscles that is blocking the flow of chi, and that's because those muscles and the fascia are dehydrated. And so you're not going to have electrical charge being sent to those places where your muscles are hardened, and all your muscles are connected to organs, so you're also going to have lower organ efficiency. I would even offer a hug to my enemies. I really would. And a 24-hour massage if I had the money capable to make it happen. By the way, massage, they show a person that was massaged throughout their life and a person that wasn't. Massage helps in the process of hydrating the fascia as well. So you'll see the differences, and it's absolutely insane. And massage is life. So when I say 24-hour massage is the new vibe on planet Earth, who doesn't need one to regenerate and anti-age the mind, body, spirit, and soul, to procreate natural joy, peace, bliss, and eternal ecstasy, unconditional love, and absolute vitality for the present eternity? You are worthy, are you not? I was trying to get my gang stalkers, at least I felt they kind of were in the moment, to take a picture with that sign so that they could manifest a 24-hour massage into their lives. Because I'm trying to be loving. I'm trying not to give in to the darkness of my yin and yang, because I realize the karmic imprints of that. And sometimes I'm reactive because I'm deeply being targeted, and I'm deeply being manipulated, and I'm deeply being hurt, followed, tracked, online stalked, which I found out 1/3 of all people online have been online gang stalked at one point. So that's just reality. And what am I gonna do? Be a little bitch? Not forgive them? Not. The world needs this message of being able to understand their connection with Earth. And me focusing all my energy into hatred, I thought I was gonna die. You know, I still am paranoid that I could die. I wouldn't wish that upon myself, and I wouldn't wish that upon them. But if someone comes to try to kill me, I've had these images in my mind. It's like I should kill them. I might be able to get out of the city. I might be able to ditch my phone. I might be able to survive. And when these people come towards me, I don't know what they're gonna do. I've seen so many police execution videos that were unwarranted. I've seen, there's a lot of murders that happen. So, you know, and that's why turning the other cheek is very powerful, because if you're constantly focused on what they did wrong when they refused to make it right, they're like, we have to stop this voice. We have to stop this voice. We have to silence this voice because it's exposing everything, blah, 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 about us not paying people. When you look on the internet, and it's all over the internet, it's greatly known in the petitioning community that people get cheated out of paychecks completely. They get cheated out of bonuses. A lot of the coordinators do not show concrete proof of what their commissions are, and because of that, the industry has a horrible rap, and it doesn't need to. It's ridiculous. We could clean it up. We could expand. So glad I went to that Catholic church. Trying to remember what the prayers were, but they kept saying it. And I had to really listen to how it was working on my spirit. And because I went to that church, I was actually able to gain the memory of love. And then I realized what my life purpose was. And through that fear of being close to death, I realized, okay, if I could die any moment, at any day, at any time, what would I help people leave in their legacy? Absolute joy, peace, bliss, eternal ecstasy, unconditional love, and absolute vitality and healing in overcoming the mental psychological block of Pavlov's dogs drooling and salivating, understanding that it's all a psychological block for women to not have the same freedom that I have out here with my shirt off, so that their bosoms can actually hydrate the myofascial tissue. I explained it in this video how that works. 99.9% of our ancestors, they didn't have breast cancer. They were free. The circulation was going, plus the sun connected with the water. When it shines on the skin, that creates the electricity in the fascia to actually hydrate the breasts. Breast issues is all a circulation and a hydration issue. And also coming back to the massage. Women can actually grow bigger breasts by breast massage, which can then hold more milk for the offspring. So we got to get nature-based, y'all, if we truly love, care, and respect ourselves. It's absolutely essential, you know? Absolutely essential. Soul. I like to say it because of the soul, right? If loot is in there and we're playing with the English words, loot should be gained properly, not stolen because of the negative karmic implications. So this word saying, oh, give me the loot, that's death energy. If you're stealing from somebody, you're closer to death because someone's gonna blast, you know? And that's survival. Don't put yourself in that energy, you know? People that don't stand up for themselves, you know, it's really bad. It shows a complete lack of dignity, self-respect, and self-love for the love and the joy of being human and walking the earth plane. Avoid violence at all costs. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Again, that's why I say police officers should be paid at least $200,000 a year. And the fact that I collected so many signatures for the police and they don't even have anything close to that really bothers me. In fact, we don't really need more police, because if everybody was just treated right, the police could be doing something else. They could be doing something like, they could be a skydiver instructor, they could be a surfing instructor, they could be a bodybuilding instructor, they could be a triathlete, they could be a chef, they could be a UFC fighter, yeah. And then we wouldn't even have to pay all those taxes. And yeah, that would be great. And any of those professions, they could make $200,000 in if the world cared more for each other. You know, that's why it would be really hard for me to be a police officer. Like, if I really did what I loved, which would be share this knowledge with all the technology out there that you can use to leverage income, I would be oh yeah, there's a lot of videos sent to my phone like, oh, you're gang stalked and you'll be blackballed, you won't be able to get a job anywhere. I believe that those are my gang stalkers trying to scare me. Like, well, you'll know if you're gang stalked, you're probably not, if this and that. I couldn't understand. It's like, because why are these people watching me but not actively helping me, but telling me everything about it? What's actually going on? Are people actually watching me and protecting me? I can't really tell, because it's like no one's actually helped me get what my worth was, you know? And so it's hard to tell, because psychology, that I want to keep talking about covens on there, witchcraft, smear campaigns. It's like, are these the people trying to scare me? Because why has no one helped me if they're actually watching and guiding over me, you know? It's just kind of strange that on my TikTok algorithm, I was getting all of those videos. So, but seeing no real tangible evidence that I was actually being helped, or that charge was dropped for obstruction. When he told me to get out of the vehicle, I listened. I had my hands above my head. I asked him, why isn't your camera on? He's like, it's on, you know. So put my camera above my head, then slam, bam, right on the ribs. Locked in a cage for 3 hours. Luckily, I was planning on riding my unicycle later, so I had my, by the way, I learned if you ride an electric unicycle, you gotta have chest protection. If I would have had a chest protection jacket, that probably wouldn't have happened to my ribs. That jacket only had shoulder, elbow protection and back protection, and the pants I was wearing only had knee and hip protection. My hip was a little bit hurt, so I ended up getting the turtle pads. Highly recommend if you're in BMX biking or you're an electric unicycle rider. There's a guy, and I'm gonna put on all this stuff. I kind of got upset at the EUC community because it was just kind of a toxic community online, so I kind of distanced myself away from it for a while. But it's important for me to be surrounded by men and women, you know, it's predominantly men, that lift each other up and grow and develop. And I wasn't feeling that. It just seemed very toxic in that environment. And I was posting things that were non-EUC related. I even said, hey, I'm posting things in my own group. Nobody really was interested. So not everybody in that group was toxic. I really did enjoy the ride that I had. But I ended up going with the Leitz, and that is a front chest protector. And during the time, I probably should have been saving the money to get a new vehicle or to clean out the mold, but I'd have to rip out everything, and that would have been like $3-4 grand to redo everything. And I'm like, I really need some joy in my life, and I was feeling that natural euphoria. I get sunburned out here because I'm not moving, not hydrated yet. I'm a lot more hydrated, as you can tell from the beginning of this video, but I still don't need to pee, and I've drank 1.5 gallons water, so I only peed about 1/2 cup. I think I have about I peed 1/4 cup. I have about 1/2 cup that I need to pee. So a lot of that has been going in to my fascia, my muscles. I can feel my muscles pumping up as if my body is actually growing and expanding. That's how chronically dehydrated I am in the morning, living in a van with the sun kind of squeezing the juice out of you. But yeah, electric unicycles are amazing, by the way. There needs to be, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, on every major road and every road that's built for new cities forward, that you have paths right next to roads that can allow for electric unicycles, electric bikes. And if they're under 20, you know, I don't want to get into like the specifics of like the freedom, but yeah, that would be amazing, because electric unicycle is the best. I'm getting off topic here, but your hands are free. I do Tai Chi the whole time while I'm driving my electric unicycle. I stably was able to do Tai Chi at 40 miles an hour, like this. And it's all about shifting your body into the correct way to keep that center of gravity. But when you're locked in the zone, you can do it. Also did the Shaolin Kung Fu rings, 10 pounds on each shoulder on the electric unicycle, and the 60-pound weighted vest. I uploaded that video. By the way, I was like hurting pretty bad for like 4 days. I had to do like 3 hours of this locked in just to get rid of the pain. So I did do a workout last night. First one in about 2 weeks because of all the shit that I've been going through. But it was just a 2-minute workout, and it was with the aqua fluid boxing gloves, 5 pounds each. And I got smoked by this kid who was like 120 pounds. He had perfect form. He went for 2 minutes straight. I'm like, I'm gonna do 5 minutes. Lost my form at 30 seconds. These kids were doing Kali. Oh. I just like to meet people, go to events, talk to people about my life, what's been happening. Get them subscribed. Oh, by the way, that happened in Covina, California. Just if I do end up missing or dead or locked in a cage and I'm not forgiven like I forgive them. I don't even really expect a financial payout. I would just be happy if that drop, that charge, that bogus charge of obstruction was released. And if they just called me today and they proved it with paperwork, because actually the only 2 times I've gotten arrested was in the petition business. I stood my ground, like my boss said, for the Pruneyard Act. 602.1 states that you're not allowed to be kicked out of a place because it's constitutionally protected activity. And I was like, when you're doing petition, you get attacked. It's very high stress. Petitions are very, very polarized. So if you have a people with a lot of money and you're trying to do a petition like rent control, people will gang stalk you out in the field. And as a petitioner, your job is to be excited about every single petition to give people the right to vote. And that's the only way you make money, is when you get verified signatures that are registered voters' signatures. So if you don't cleanse your aura and you don't quit when you need to, sometimes, and I was living in my van during that time, I was like having heat stroke. It was during the summer. Yeah, they violated my rights. It was a really strange experience. It was I had just been collecting signatures for the Oakland Police Department a week before. It's funny, both of these times with the police, I was collecting signatures for some police department a week before this happened. But the thing is, if you're running, even though you're running one for the police don't even know. Probably they just do what the people with money says. And if the people with money go into the store and complain on you and make shit up because they don't want to not be able to charge $1,000 extra in rent, they are going to gang stalk you and try to get you removed from that front by using coercive tactics. So that was the first time. It was actually from the public of homeowners that owned a lot of property, or the multi housing units that were like, hell no, we don't want rent control. So I got the police used on me there. My arm, I never sued, because again, I respect police. That's why I collect signatures. But my arm was like all big and puffy, and they stole money out of my wallet. I had like $14, and then when I talked to them, they just shoved me out. I had so much stress, it fucked with everything, and I was feeling that negative energy. People were like really ganging on me, and I couldn't really leave that location because it was in a town where all the other petitioners were at, and it was flocked to. So I had to kind of hold my ground because I needed the money. And there wasn't really a lot of money even to be made during that time. So I was in a state of survival, you know? Anyway, they let me out. They dropped the charge. I got lucky though, because I found a homeless lady that helps homeless people, and she fights for the homeless, and technically I was living in my vehicle and I was homeless, and really I had black mold in there, but it was so hot I wasn't working 12 hours a day. I hadn't yet got injured, but after that injury I quit for 2 years, and then I became the Amazon worker, and that's where I really got fucked. I could barely walk, and I was in chronic 10 level pain every day for a full year, until I learned all these techniques that I'm sharing with you. So everything happens for a reason, you know? If I do survive and my enemies forgive me, as I have forgiven them, again, I was against Christianity hardcore for a while because I just don't agree with everything in it. I was like, okay, well, why is the whole Bible written by all men? And why is the man's name on the Bible King James instead of King Jesus? Should I trust the Bible that preaches the only thing that you need is Jesus, but it doesn't even have the name King Jesus on the Bible? So that was like, okay, man's egos in this Bible. I've watched 1,000 videos of the issues of the Bible, and how a lot of it is pretty bizarre. Like, a lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it contradicts itself. But you gotta realize these are men that are all taking their own perspectives of reality and putting them into the same book. So you're gonna see contradictions, because they're coming from different people that have a different fractal of how they view and perceive the universe. So I think the book is very archaic. Back in the day, someone explained to me, I'm like, okay. I was talking about the fact that, like, people say Jesus didn't even exist. He was just a spiritual concept used by Rome, blah, blah, blah. You hear all these stories, and so many different angles that you can listen to about it if you really deep dive into, like, everybody's perspective of how the Bible should have actually been preached, or what actually happened, or how politics used it, you know. But yeah, I gotta pee again. I'm feeling pretty good though, let me tell you. Oh, besides having to pee again, but I'm just gonna hold that bladder. Yeah, so I got out of religion because I'd bring this stuff up, and they'd say, no, I was questioning polyamory. I was like, okay, if polyamory is so evil, then why did King Solomon have 300 wives? And they're like, no, King Solomon was ruined because of his 300 wives. I'm like, okay, well, maybe if you have 3 wives, that's easier to get along with through the heart space and everybody than 300 wives, or however many wives he had. And yeah, so in my opinion, polyamory is not, I've never successfully been polyamory. I had 2 threesomes in my life that were not really with people that I fully respected. So people's argument against polyamory is correct in the instances that I use them, because you do pick up energy from these people, and people's energy has to do with their bacteria and their bacteria fluctuation, their viruses, everything, right? So if they have negative energy, they could have some more viruses, stuff like that. That's dependent too on the health and the age of the body, so that's not always true. But people are like, ew, why would you, that's like an orgy. No, like you marry somebody, but you're marrying more than one person that love everybody equally. You have more resources. How much easier would it be in California to get $1 million home on the beach if you had a foursome poly married family, and everybody's energy was pure toward each other, respectful, and everybody benefited from more knowledge and resources? And then if you had those 4 people that could create a mastermind plan for a business, you could easily create a business that you could operate that was only 10 hours a week. You have that mastermind group that loves and respects each other, that works and respect for each other. You could have a hot tub, you could have a pool, you get a cryotherapy machine. Because you're making so much money, you're not working that much, you're not really materialistic. You don't need anything bigger than a normal house that costs $1 million, just a regular house. But you have ocean beach access, preferably by the nudist beach, so that you can, in the current climate of nudity laws, be in an environment where you can actually do that by the ocean without getting locked in a cage for being a nudist because you're not in a designated environment where people who are intellectual have overcome their lusts, that no longer salivate when the bell rings. Again, we're coming back to Pavlov. To tell young boys that they'll never be able to control their urges and then never be able to be out in the sunlight, and telling women and continuing to force women to stay clothed, because telling men that they'll never be able to overcome their lusts. Again, we go back to the breast cancer thing. The sun, direct sunlight on the body, activates the fascia. When you hydrate, the molecule, the mitochondria do not create, because water changes with vibration. The sun gives a vibration. There needs to be a certain vibration that mitochondria can absorb the water and the moisture. So unless you have direct contact on meridian points, you're not hydrating the fascia. And we showed through the videos that I posted in my shorts, and through the videos that I posted about people talking about nudism and naturalism, and the connection between sunlight and fascia, which connects everything in the entire body, all the organs. So all of your organs are under optimized if you're not getting direct sunlight all over your body, because those meridian points are all necessary to be touched by the sun once you study the Chinese medicine chart. There's other charts that have this too, but from my research so far, the Chinese have really been the only ones that have really put it to practice in showing it easy to understand what you're feeling in your body when you remove your clothes and why things. Now I'm getting a little sunburned, guys, so again, I've drank about almost 2 gallons. I've only peed a little bit, but the places I'm getting sunburned, I have all these knots in my lymph, right around the lymph muscles. So in the 2 hours, I could have totally hydrated, wouldn't have had to pee at all, would have probably drank another gallon. It just went from being crippled, barely being able to pull myself out of bed with my rib, all of my joints in my entire body aching from my arthritis. Yeah, so I'm gonna go pee. Let's see here. We got 2 hours. Oh, we got 24%. So we're good. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go to the bathroom. And again, good thing there's no one in here. Only one person really popped in the chat and really got any value from this, but haven't really been very active. And I've been pretty emotionally unregulated, because I feel like I have been experiencing gang stalking since I've done the petitioning. And you know what? It makes sense, because politics, people are angry. They might not be intentionally targeting me when I'm out there getting petitions for the things I don't like, but sometimes I did feel that. And now I know that after bringing up the issue with the pay, that it just feels like 100% I am getting gang stalked by the people that did not want to pay me or show proof of payment. Or it could be the police, you know, because I called and filed a claim against that. Although, only reason I did that is because when I called to the police department to make things right, they said it's up to the DA or the district attorney, and they didn't want to do that. They just didn't want to drop it on the spot. They didn't want to look into the things that I told them about the worker retaliation that was happening, which I understand because we collect signatures for the police. So again, please look away. If you're uncomfortable, I'm going to be peeing. As children, we were outside in the woods. We just peed. We weren't thinking about it like that. We were just being as if nudists would be. So if you feel uncomfortable, I'll be done in about a minute. Okay, so I peed about a cup. I peed about 3/4 to a cup. I've ingested about a gallon of water and gallon and a half of water. Sorry about that. I'm sorry for the people. Thomas Williams said hi. Good to meet you, Thomas. Blackaroni said you need potassium for bananas and sodium too. Yes, electrolytes. Thank you so much, Blackaroni. I really appreciate you. I'm sorry I was not reading the comments. I've gotten a lot of negative comments in the past. Like I said, I was experiencing some online gang stalking, so I would just ignore them for a while because people were talking shit. But you know what? You can't be afraid of haters, you know? You gotta always take care of the people that are watching you. Build relationships, deep, loving relationships. Talk to them, accept the help and the love that they're sending you. And so I really appreciate you, Jamie Walker, Thomas Williams, Blackaroni. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I really hope that one day, Jenny, if you do not have a backyard, that you would feel safe and to take your top off, that one day you could. And I hope that everybody on here has an opportunity to go try out a naturalist community and realize that it's one of the safest places. People leave their wallets out. People leave their keys out. Nobody steals anything. These are a group of intellectuals that understand the power of our connection to the giver of life and how that hydrates the fascia. Now, not all of the nudists know that. Not all the nudists are that tapped into it, so they just do it for the feeling, and sometimes they do get sunburned because they don't take their shoes off, they don't ground, they don't allow that dirty electricity to flow through the body so that it's not building up a charge that burns the body. Again, this is simple stuff. If you're an electrician, you can really understand this. Now, the barefoot shoe companies are only fixing one issue, most of them, but there are some sandal companies that sell copper plugs, but that copper plug doesn't give you full connection to that electrical output. And then you're not getting full reflexology on the bottom of your feet, which activate. And you know what? We're gonna come over here into the shade and we're just gonna solve the issue of me getting sunburned. Again, if I would have been just focusing completely on my breathing and my stretching, I wouldn't have peed at all in that gallon and a half that I drank. My shoes are over there. I'll just leave them over there. I used to be so paranoid about leaving things around me because when I got human trafficked from my mother as a kid by the state, Child Protective Services, back then I understand weed. Honestly, I don't agree with weed usage, but to human traffic a mother because she grows weed and her nipples are out in her backyard, and she's nature-based, and she was misunderstood by the community, called a whore because it was very conservative. They misunderstood that she was nature-based. Now we realize that marijuana is nature-based, and a lot of people more people before her time understood that having her nipples out and everything that this video is about is actually to stop breast cancer in women and to increase the vitality of the milk and to educate people about the powers of naturalism and how the fascia can only absorb water through the electrical charge that hits directly the meridians of the skin, so that the water can be created into the right frequency and geometrical design. If you look up Emoto, it's also the power of words and emotions, how it can cause disease, dysresonance, or healing. So all the science is there, but the true science, again, is doing. You must experience it. But explaining things with the hydration principles, the barefooting principles, are very important. And you have to listen to your own body. And sometimes I do get burned because I'm talking on camera and I'm not tapped in, I'm not paying attention. But 100%, within the first 30 minutes, if I locked in, I would have drank in all that liquid. I wouldn't have felt any slight burn on my body, and my fascia would have been completely healed. And it's traumatizing. Once you experience abuse from the police, which I have several times, anytime a chopper goes over, and especially if you've been experiencing gang stalking, you start to fear things. But it's like, you know what? I got people on the TikTok saying, yeah, they plan to set you up, they plan to kill you. I think that they're routing those videos over to me to scare the living shit out of me, or they're waiting for a moment to kill me if they could, because I don't see why I would have those videos. But when you listen to a bunch of them, maybe she was just expressing things from her point of view. Is it actually all these people ganging up on me? I don't know. Again, I forgive them, because at the end of the day, forgiveness is just better. Like, I don't want to focus on why anybody hates me for whatever reason. I've repeated things, said things in the past that I've heard on the internet. I've got emotionally charged from time to time, and so maybe they are focused on something. But I think the main reason I'm being gang stalked is because of, it has to do with the employer. So, and when you watch these gang stalking videos and you're all up in your head, but they break it down so you can understand how it slowly drives you crazy and how they want to get you into a reactory state. They want to talk shit, call you crazy. It's called coercive control. So it's no fun. That's why it's best to just turn the other cheek, or have a lot of people that can back you up in instances. And again, this is all over the internet, that the industry that I'm in is filled with these people that are using coercive control, retaliation of being fired when asking to see proof of commissions, not giving bonuses that they promised, refusing to show the paperwork that you turned in with the crossouts what your actual validity is, which I've worked for a couple of people in different locations that have always done that for me. And the reason I even questioned it was because my validity was so low. You know, I'd never been really ever under 69%. So mostly all my signature validity was in 70 to 95%. So we're breathing up into that upper diaphragm, up into the chest, and then we're stretching that chest. That breath is bringing that moisture through the blood, so it's hydrating the fascia. And then you can see we're moving it backwards. want to feel like a pressure or a tearing. And in the morning, again, my ribs were in extreme pain. All my body, I had rheumatoid arthritis present, feeling all over my body. Extreme pain, right? That was an intense breathing. I was starting to get pain right there in my rib. But I took that, I went a little too far, too fast, because I wasn't in tune enough with my body. When you breathe and you get that oxygen, it's a natural painkiller, but then when you slow down the breathing, the painkiller goes away. So again, all these breathing techniques can create a natural state of ecstasy. The pranayama, the turtle breathing, the fire breath, many other breathing techniques out there from Asia, and pretty much the amount of breath that you get from dancing, from Native American ceremony, you're breathing so much while you're hopping, that's creating a similar effect as well. So any type of tribal dancing can do a similar thing as well. And again, we must forgive our enemies, because our enemies lack love for others when they lack love for themselves. And oftentimes when you trigger your enemies, it's because they have a lack of love. They misunderstand your motives, and yeah, they don't see through the eyes of love. They see anybody that's shining bright as a potential enemy, especially in a business that's highly competitive. So the woman that I worked for after the Petition King, which his name was a different name, by the way, on the ad, I think it was FWP political campaign. So he had already been using a different business name. He had a security guard at his place. So he must have been stealing from people, because if you have good energy and you're putting good energy out there, why would you need a security guard? I've never worked for any other petition coordinator that's had to have a security guard at location. And I want to get into a little bit of what happened. So I expressed my story about being human trafficked by the government, by the police, because my mother wanted to free the nipples. I had 2 women come up, hug me, saying, "Oh my God, that's so terrible. Yes, women need equal gender equality rights to be able to enjoy like men do nature." Okay, cool. Other people were starting to get offended by that. Again, you must speak your truth. I speak all this truth from the beginning. You can go watch it from the beginning to explain. We've severed our connection with anti-aging wisdom of the sun. We are more like plants than we will ever understand. Like when a tree blows in the wind, it grows. When the wind wisps against our body and stimulates our nervous system, that helps the full body to activate all the organs much better and to help the electricity. Same with the sun, increases our mitochondrial efficiency, and it only allows for complete hydration of the mitochondria when sun. Now you can have too much sun depending on your skin tone and depending on the hydration of your body, and if you are barefoot or not, because when you have rubber shoes on, you are not grounded. So again, this morning I explained that if I would have came out here with my shirt off and not drank any water and had my shoes off, I would have burned in 15 seconds. Like I would be beet red right now. And so I've drinking about 1.5 gallons here, talking for 2 hours and 49 minutes. And I've only peed about 3/4 to a half a cup of water. And so my body has absorbed that, my muscles have absorbed that, my range of motion has completed. I feel my muscles and fascia filling with fluid. And when I do this with my shirt off, I don't get this, I pee a lot more. So my body's not actually absorbing the water. It has to do with the sunlight, and it's proven. I've put the screenshots on the channel. They've proven that through science, but the real proof is getting out there and doing it yourself. So I'm building up my chi. My lungs are filling, the fascia that's surrounding my lungs are filling, so I'm able to breathe harder without feeling strain in my lungs. I'm really getting hydrated now. This is amazing. And we've absorbed almost 1.5 gallons of liquid with green juice. I still got arthritis and pain in this knee. Depending on the range, I feel tightness and tension in both shoulders, so I know that there's fascia that hasn't been deeply hydrated there. The bottom of my feet, some of the fascia is dehydrated. My forehead even, it feels a little dehydrated. That's why it's so important to do cranial sacral massage as well. I like to do that just by pulling my hair back like that. It's like a way to do it. It's actually, I used to always wear my hair forward, and then I started doing that, and I didn't like the look of my forehead. I thought it was too big. I thought that the lines in my head were ugly, so I always tried to cover it up, but I just got over that, like. And body positivity is all about self-love, connecting with the sun and the earth, and be able to heal your body through the nudist practice of intellectualism and eternal wisdom that 99.9% of all of our ancestors had access to through embodying this meditation of being as least clothed as possible, is all inherently your birthright. It's all inherently in your DNA memory. So you are billions of years old. From sperm to egg, you have made it this far. Right now when I'm going like this, I'm pumping the lymph and the fascia in the bicep. The bicep's really tight, and then by that releasing it, I'm going down. I'm doing a couple pumps of the bicep, and then I'm going down, because I do those couple pumps of the bicep to release it, to really stretch it out, so that way when I go down, I don't feel that tension on all my joints in my hand when I open my hand up. As you can see, my hand just kind of naturally closes like that. That was from building racks, 300-pound racks, every 7 minutes, 8 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. Totally destroyed my ligaments, tendons, and joints. And then when I fell back, that's what got me in this situation. We saw on the channel that I was swinging the 40-pound sword. I swung the 50-pound thing, and I wasn't having any true damage to my tendons because I was resting. I wasn't doing it for 8 hours every day. So I no longer can swing a 50-pound barbell with weight on the end of it after that job. And Ashman from Ashman Athletics is swinging his sword, and me and him had a little beef. That was my fault because there was a little bit of jealousy there, and I felt really left out. I felt hurt, but really I was just an ego. Go check him out, Ashman Athletics. He's swinging a 50-pound wooden sword. I gave him the idea on moving it up and down. I'm really proud of that guy. I'm really proud of him. He took his business, he monetized it, and he did amazing. And I was during that time, I was trying to do petitions, had all this negative energy going on with feeling like I was being gang stalked by different companies that didn't want certain petitions to get on the ballot because it messed with their financial wealth, having to do with rent control. All this stuff was going on. It was just a lot of negative energy. I was living in my van during the summer. It was hot. I was literally cooking alive. Imagine SpongeBob being taken out of the ocean and just dried up in the mornings after waking up in your van every day. I used to be just like SpongeBob. That was my natural energy. That's why I was so good at selling Kirby vacuums. I was so bubbly, happy, and I had so much love in my heart. I was able to sell $15,000 to $33,000 vacuums by knocking on people's door, commission only, for about 7 years straight, working 12 to 16-hour days, being able to get only 3 hours of sleep and being fully energetic without any caffeine. It wasn't until I started giving into the toxic drinking culture that was there 3 years later. Went on vacation, I would get fucking hammered, and that started to fuck up my gut. So I realized it was that, and I only did that once every 3 months, got hammered. I didn't touch alcohol at all. But when I was at these places, everybody else was drinking. They just kept handing me beers. So I'm like, fuck it. And, yeah, I've been sober now from alcohol. It was actually the last vacation that I had. I was drinking Ciroc. There's a threesome involved in that, and I don't even remember it, but which is a little scary. But yeah, I felt like my body was hit by a train the next morning. They left without me. There was vomit, projectile puke all over the wall in my bedroom. I was naked, so somehow I had made it back to my bedroom butt naked. They said it was one of the ladies. She brought me back or something. I don't know what was happening, but yeah, that was a very lustful time in my life. I was trying to get the divine feminine, but I went about it in a loose, disgusting way. And yeah, but you know, because you share energy, you know, that's energetic exchange. You should get to know people's mind and body, because if I would have gotten her pregnant, then I would have been tied to her soul for eternity. Or even if we broke up, then I'm tied to a child's soul for eternity that's suffering through the separation process of ignorance. It's just invalid behavior. So I'm so lucky that I never. That was like the only time I got so drunk that I didn't remember. And I was excellent back then at semen retention while inside the woman, pulling out. So yeah, because of the sexual kung fu guys that taught me to cycle the orgasm for the full body orgasm, but my body's not strong enough anymore to feel that full body orgasm throughout sex anymore. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did create, after I couldn't walk for a year, the sexual kung fu ball. I don't know if you scroll through, you can go watch those videos about it, but it's a pocket pussy. But the reason that it's necessary is because a lot of men work out the gym and they jerk off. It's absolute fact. You wouldn't have all these workout guys talking about no fap if it wasn't happening. So when you're just laying there doing that, you're not cycling the chi. And so you're getting a dopamine response while laying and doing that. So then that's how it becomes addicting. And you don't want the drama of a relationship. You don't feel confident enough with money. You fear getting someone pregnant. You don't want to wear condoms because you can't feel anything. So you just keep doing that. And so what the sexual kung fu ball, I had it designed to do, is it loads up to 200 pounds. Starts at 20 pounds, and then you're doing the standing Karma Sutra while inserting your phallus. Now, when you're working out at the gym, your muscles get bigger. Is the erectile function really from the steroids, or is it because you've created so much tissue that all your blood is going into your muscles and now you can't get an erection? So if you're working out a full body, imagine you're strong enough to pick up a woman and just go like that in a passionate, loving, romantic way for an hour straight. That is that. If I was a woman, I would cook for my husband. I would give my husband massages. If he could pick me up, lift me up, lick my pussy, 100%. 100% I would do that. But unless you have the kung fu sexual ball and say your body's not strong enough to lift up your woman, you add the weight. You're able, and it's hard. It's hard to keep an erection with that ball while standing. After I got injured at the factory, I could barely have sex. I could barely walk. I could barely do anything. I felt like my manhood had been stripped away from me. Not only that, but they denied my claim. I felt as if I was nothing but a subject, a number. It was horrible. But out of the darkness came the light. Just like out of the darkness that's happened to me with gang stalking, I just stopped fearing the message that I need to spread to humanity, that I was human trafficked from my mother because she had her tits out and she grew weed in a very conservative neighborhood that made people insecure because she wanted to connect with the giver of life and have her breast tissue healthy from the sun. Doctors used to prescribe, they used to have outdoor patios so that you could get sunshine. It's scientifically proven through everything that I've explained on here. We went through the process of how I've been able to hydrate the 1.5 gallons that I ingested into my muscles. When I have the shirt on, I would have peed at least 4 cups. I've only peed 1 cup because the sun is allowing the electricity to be charged in the fascia, which is pulling the water into the mitochondria by geometrically structuring it the proper way. And I have posted all the facts and the little shorts that we have in the videos. That I've posted the little shorts, and I've talked about how the psychology of naturalism. I'm about to post another one today, how it's actually a psychological block for humanity when 99.9% of our ancestors were all naked, without shame, guilt, fear, and resentment, and that our response to being naked is actually like Pavlov's theory, the salivating dog. It's a conditioning. It's not a universal fact that being naked is disrespectful or sexual, because nudists all around the world, shout out to Croatia for having the most nudist beaches of any place on earth. I don't know if that's changed, but that was my research about a year or two ago. Greece also is very open to nudism. People take their clothes off together, men and women, in saunas in many countries. They bathe in public bathing houses together naked, and there is no rape. Imagine that. Imagine that we weren't conditioned as little boys to think that we couldn't control our urges and our lusts, and that women could not have to never get sunshine on their breast. Now, if direct sunlight has to do with where that sunlight is going on, like the videos that I have shown in the proofs of those little shorts and all the scientific data, and you got to do the inward work by actually going out there hydrating. You got to be barefoot because the sun will burn you 10 times easier if you're not grounded, because you're creating that electricity and it's not releasing the negative ions, so your body's heating up. We weren't designed for millennia and billions of years to have rubber under our feet. We are plants. Plants give us life. Meat gives us life. If a carnivore ate another animal, that animal ate plants. It's etheric, universal connection of the microcosmic orbit of the circle of life, and it has to do with reversing and anti-aging the body, hydrating the fascia. The fascia controls all the signaling for all the organs up and down the 33 vertebrae. So the organs aren't working properly, your blood's not going to cleanse itself, your blood sugar is not going to regulate. Not all nudists are healthy because some just do it for the feeling. They still eat improperly. They don't move. They don't do the Tai Chi. They don't do the Qigong. They don't understand the concept of grounding. So some nudists sometimes get sunburned because they're not in tune with their body. Again, Dr. Atman Ra, he eats 1,500 calories. He's an absolute, looks like a straight bodybuilder, not one that like Dallas McCarver had a heart attack, or Rich Piana who had a heart attack, that looked freakishly unnormal, but he looks like the peak of an athletic bodybuilder, and he only eats one meal a day, 1,500 calories, and I guarantee, I didn't used to believe it back in the day that was possible. I went 7 days without food. I hiked 5 to 10 miles a day. I only lost 1 pound, and we were hiking to get water at the survival school. And then I only made it 15 days because it was a 30-day. I wasn't in shape that much. It was right after that projected me into overcoming the pain and the suffering that I was feeling from the work injury. I'm like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. My mind's going crazy. What if I could just go learn to live out in nature and survive? If I could gather enough food, if I could drink enough water, I'd only have to take about 3 hours a day, and then I can completely go inward and do my Tai Chi, my Qigong. And I really wanted to get back to swinging the 50-pound sword. So I was like, if I just go out in nature, I get rid of all my distractions, I get rid of my phone, I can do this. So that was my mindset, right? That was my goal, was to just focus on myself, get away from all the negativity in news and politics, and feel great, you know, and heal my body. Like today, if I could do everything that I really wanted to do, I would sleep. I would go take a nap right now. My body's tired. I would go take a nap for 2 or 3 hours until I woke up. Then I would come back and I would do all this again without the talking. Or I'd probably talk to people if they stuck around, because maybe probably read stuff. Electrolytes, Blackaroni. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys are back in here, Jamie Walker, Thomas Williams, Blackaroni, I really appreciate the love, saying hello, saying hi. Blackaroni saying that I need potassium from bananas and sodium too, and electrolytes. I really appreciate and honor your heart for taking the time to comment, because that's love, and I appreciate you. If you guys are new to the channel, we're talking about healing the body fast and efficiently, hydrating the body fast and efficiently through sun connection, electricity, understanding principles that are taught to electricians. Our body is electric, stuff like that. If you go back and watch the beginning of the video, you'll see that I drink 1.5 gallons of water and green juice. I've only peed about a cup, and I've been barefoot because my body was so dehydrated, because I live in a van that has black mold growing in it. I showed I was hacking the loogies out. I always have loogies because it's the black mold goes into my... Black mold's supposed to kill you. I've been living with it for 2 years in my van in a contained space. I learned a lot of this stuff from certified health nut Troy Casey, who teaches expert level Bastrika, which we will be doing here soon. That's organ massage. You can massage all your other organs for your fascia so that you can live longer. You also need to learn how to massage your inner organs through breath, sucking in the diaphragm, etc. So certified health nut Troy Casey, he's a crazy guy. He's the guy that went viral for slapping his balls to increase testosterone. I did that for 1 week. It absolutely works. And you don't actually slap them, you're just generating heat and chi around there by the massage. Kind of like the Tai Chi, the movement in itself is massaging the muscles. That's why you move in all these different ways to really stretch and hydrate the fascia, right? Oh, that rib. Oh, rib. So you gotta go check it out. You might think it's weird, you might have some judgment coming up, but certified health nut Troy Casey, he calls his followers psycho chickens. He was an ex model that he has like a Ferrari. He has like a freaking Lamborghini. I also think he has a Rolls Royce. He has like 3 properties. He's fit at 50. He's amazing. You should definitely go check him out, because if it wasn't for certified health nut Troy Casey, I probably wouldn't even be alive. I probably would have died by now from the black mold. It's also a neurotoxin. And he lived in his house for 5 years. It wasn't as encased of a space as my van, but yeah, and you can see that he hacks up the mucus. He did a video with Elliot Hulse, which was great because Elliot Hulse knows bioenergetics and fascia stimulation. So you do the bioenergetics, you shake the muscles. If we have emotions trapped in our body, we're grumpy when we're tight, or our bodies are tight. When our bodies aren't feeling good, we get grumpy. We're not able to create and channel and manifest positive emotions as easy, because the body, when you feel a negative emotion, your body tenses up, and then your body gets stuck in that position, and that's what prevents you from alchemizing and creating a new positive, higher emotion. Shout out to Elliot Hulse Strength Camp. That guy's been gang stalked too. Health nut, certified health nut Troy Casey's been gang stalked. Internet haters, y'all, because true health and happiness destroys old systems of fake health. When you don't have to pay for anything, you're going to become targeted, because it goes against the interests of people that don't even do this stuff themselves. They don't even see the benefit, but want you sick, that don't actually want to heal you. So all right, so what is this doing? This shoulder, I want you to kind of visualize and try to understand what's happening to the shoulder as I'm moving it. I want you to understand the shoulder, go research how the shoulder is connected to the joints, and it's connected to the ligaments and tendons. And when I'm making these different geometrical patterns that look like a dance or look like Tai Chi, which it's really a dance Tai Chi, because I try to dance and do Tai Chi because it just feels better, because it just comes with a flow. I don't have to do like, it's easier to tap in when I make it a Tai Chi dance versus a strict Tai Chi regimen, because everybody's muscles are a little bit different, tight in different places, so not every Tai Chi move is going to work the same for somebody. So I call it flow Tai Chi. And see how those muscles are being pulled and expanded. And then we're doing that deep breathing, we're drinking the water. Imagine and try to understand how we're stretching out the muscle, we're warming it up, and how that water that we're drinking is now going into that fascia and hydrating. Ooh, that's a big one. Those lats are getting pulled right there. I gotta be really careful on this rib over here, but right now on that rib, I really spent a lot of time hydrating it, so it's not giving me that shooting 10 level pain. It's just like kind of a 6 pain. Oh, I just felt like I don't know if you've ever like had a tight neck, but you hear it like goes. That was my fascia just kind of, so I got a lot of tension up here in the neck. So I got to be a little careful what I'm doing. Hear that little creaking. So now I'm just gonna focus on going as far up before there's any that we don't want to feel any creaking. And then we're gonna breathe. And that diaphragmal breathing is gonna send blood while the body's being stretched. And then while it's being stretched, that blood flow is going through. And that blood is bringing hydration to the muscles and the fascia. So slowly, instead of going fast without the breathing, I can slowly get that stretched out and go past the pain. Oh, all right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to be it for today because my battery is dying. Well, not for today, but probably. May your days be filled. It's on 5%, so I gotta get back to the vehicle. But yeah, go watch this full video. Go do it. Go do it. You're gonna learn everything about how you can barely walk. I was a 90-year-old man this morning. Now I'm like a 60-year-old man in my body. When I was doing the movements, I felt like I was 18 when I was really breathing. All the pain was going away while I was keeping the breath. But now I'm feeling like a 60-year-old because like I'm talking and I'm not focused on the breath. But it's all painkillers. It's all free painkillers. You're hydrating the fascia. Ah, fuck. Oh, yeah. I stepped on a little bee. Oh, that was perfect. I'm so glad that happened because now I have a shooting pain in the bottom of my foot, and I'm actually serious about this. It is it's hard to walk because of the pain, but it's stimulating so much chi to the bottom of my foot. It's actually releasing. Now my body's going to release more natural painkillers. Now that all the pain all around the rest of my body is completely left, but that pain in my foot is like really going hard. So I'm actually grateful for that bee sting right there. I wasn't even paying attention, but whew. Oh yeah, that bee sting really got me. And what that does is it like paralyzes the foot. Kind of, I don't know exactly. I gotta research what that does though. So it feels like my muscles are tearing as I'm walking on it, but I'm not exactly sure what that bee sting does. It just like get it back. But we may have lost some footage, which is bad because I was out there for 2.5 hours. But hopefully it all goes. But I don't know exactly what happened. But I stepped on a bee, and bees can actually heal your body. They're not all bad. Bee stings. Okay, y'all. Yeah, I don't know if I lost some of the footage. It said that I was out here for 2 hours and 45 seconds earlier. Now it says I was out here for 1 hour and 26 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Focus on my bee sting. I want you guys, out of the love of my heart and the love of your heart and the love of all your family, to go and watch all my videos on naturalism and my shorts that explain the myofascia and how sunlight is a necessity on direct sunlight. I need to post some more videos about the grounding and how you can be outside way longer being grounded with your shirt off than with rubber shoes because the electrical charge connects. But I've compiled all this information in my mind through watching countless videos and doing deep research for years. And I feel so blessed by the universe, because if I wasn't fearing death right now from whoever it is exactly who's gang stalking me, I have a pretty good idea. But yeah, so, and I wouldn't have had the courage to finally just talk about, my mother was fighting for women's equality rights to have her shirt off, why I was human trafficked by the government through CPS, she was locked in a prison, how she ended up dying with the shock therapy that they gave her, all the drugs that they put me on in those institutions, and all the beatings and rapings that I experienced. And it's like, well, fuck, if they're gang stalking me, if they're tracking me, the police or whoever it is that's doing it, based upon the workforce retaliation of being fired, and then use the police to assault me after I questioned to see proof of my payment and then was retaliatory fired. So anyway, as you walk through the valley of shadow of death, you have to be strong within yourself. I felt the darkness around me all the years doing these petitions, because people get pretty hostile when you're trying to fight for your money that they're stealing, or the petition that you're trying to pass that would impact the money that they could charge for rent and different things like that. So always love, try to forgive, try not to retaliate in ways, try to forgive. But I'm here, I'm alive, and I hope that the people that are gang stalking me internalize this message, they forgive me. I hope that they just go ahead and throw out that bogus obstruction charge, because I followed everything that the officer said. I really respected that officer at the end. I collected so many signatures for police because I believe that if you put your life on the line, you should be entitled to make $200,000 a year. And it's frustrating. I have severe PTSD around the police, but I also respect the police. I see that they have PTSD. Life has been intense, but at the end of the day, we just have to come together, put the past behind us. I would still go back to either of those employees if they actually showed me proof of my commissions, and I would build. I would recruit 100 people within a couple of months, and I would train them if they put me with their top petitioner, and I would easily help double their business in a month, double their output, so that they no longer feel the need to have to hide the true commissions that we were making and then retaliatory fire someone, because if they're stealing 10 to 15% of everybody's commissions, that's an extra mill in their pocket. Which is, you look it up on the petition industry, unpaid bonuses, just outright no paid checks, issues with pay of not some it's just like a car dealership, right? You go to one car dealership, you get treated phenomenally. You go to another car dealership, they totally rip you off, right? So anyway, may all your days be filled with absolute joy, peace, bliss, eternal ecstasy, unconditional love, and absolute vitality. And again, we're ending at 1 hour 31 seconds and whatever it ends up being. There was 2 hours and 50 seconds. The phone died. I restarted it. It only shows 1 minute and 31. Hopefully the whole thing uploads. We're going to find out. Bless yourself, bless your loved ones, bless your community. Take care of yourself.